Okay, I've gotten a few emails about tonight's homework. So I'd like to take some time to just quickly kind of review the expectations for this piece. This is a quiz, or the breakaway is a quiz over what we've talked about so far with the plot structure. So students are doing the exact same thing that they did with the lost dog practice, also on Google Classroom. The text version is on Google Classroom. And students, you should have a paper copy of how you tracked the plot that we went over in class today. And then we also did the wallet as a full class last week as well. So this is just a continuation of that practice. But all you're doing on this piece, instead of having a separate printout list to write things down in addition to reading online, everything is all together in one document. So it's supposed to be a little bit more of a streamlined process. And so I've put the directions down at the bottom where you want to make a comment for each of these each of these 5 plot terms for where you have seen them at work in the story. And then you're going to explain those plot terms, like what I've done in this comment, of how you know what the plot term is in play and how you see it in the story. So we know one of the 3 things that readers typically learn in an exposition is who the main character is, what the setting of the story is, and then we get a hint about what the conflict is or what the main problem of the story is. Short stories like this one and The Lost Dog probably aren't going to have a lot of sub-conflicts. So once you know what that conflict is, you are likely going to launch into the rising action. So for this process, all you're going to do is take your cursor, and I'm going to resolve this comment so you can see me do it. I'm going to take my cursor and highlight. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight the text that I want to make a comment for. So I'm doing the first 5-ish words for this first sentence. And then when I click and drag to highlight a piece of text, almost like I'm going to copy and paste that piece of text, I'm going to then click this little bubble that pops up to add a comment to show my thinking. So I'm going to click add. Now I could just label this exposition. That doesn't really explain how I know it's part of the exposition. Maybe it's a lucky guess. I think that it's a little bit more mysterious to not explain your work. That's why I'm asking you to add that because part of the statement. Excuse me. So instead of just saying exposition, I'm going to write a little sentence. I know that this is part of the exposition because, well, why is this part of the exposition? Because the author is telling us about our main character. Because the author is telling the reader who the main character is. All right, and then once I'm done, I can just click comment. All right, so I have probably the setting and conflict left to notate for exposition. Then I need a couple of events for rising action. Remember, we talked about this in class today. You don't have to include every single detail that you learn in the story in the rising action. You just want to note kind of the big moves, or how does the story continue forward? Because we know the rising action is the building up of the tension. So probably you're looking at character emotions, you're looking at how the conflict is progressing and thinking, how do I know the story is continuing to move forward? So 2 to 3 things probably is what we're going to do for the rising action. That climax is that turning point. So you want to remember, what moment do we see a character making a change? Maybe it's in their emotional state. Maybe it's a specific action that they're taking, but I'm probably only going to find 1, maybe 2 lines for the climax. Falling action is that tension releasing. We have kind of this moment in the climax, and then the falling action is where we start to see things resolve. And then the resolution is how everything wraps up. How do we know that the story is at a close and the character has come to a suitable ending? A quick reminder about this specific quiz, the above and beyond option is optional. I do highly recommend that students attempt it. It's just a way to prove more of what you know. Especially for this quiz, we've been talking in Writer's Workshop about theme and morals of the story, and both The Lost Dog and this Breakaway story have morals and themes. And I think it would be really good practice to see how that theme connects not only in one part of the story, but how can you see it in multiple parts of the story? Because that will really help you in your writing, how you know how to input a theme and embed that theme seamlessly throughout your own work. All right, please email me, let me know what your questions are. I hope that this video helps kind of clarify some things for your plot check.